Hi, Rob with Shop Rock Realty. I wanted to chat real quickly about the foreclosure market. We're seeing some updates, at least in foreclosure activity, which you normally would see anyhow when you had a market shift where we had interest rates go up, the market shifted down. But we're going to be seeing probably some news regarding this because market foreclosures are up about 6% last quarter and about 23% year over year. So you might see some news on it. Relatively speaking, it's low in comparison to, let's say, 2007 to 2010 levels, way below that, and it's even below historical levels. So what is a foreclosure? And just to let you know a little bit about my background, I bought about probably 100 properties out of foreclosure. Matter of fact, people that are listening to me right now probably invested with me during that 2007, 2013 time frame where we had an extraordinary gain and great gains in the market. I will tell you that we are going to be introducing something called sliced prop later this year. Sliced prop is going to be fractional ownership in real estate that you shop prop customers will be able to be involved with and see the research on and be involved with that type of investment. So that's later this year. Sliced prop will be announcing that. That being said, to talk about the foreclosure market, and when we're talking about it, we're talking about homes that are being foreclosed on. That means they're not being auctioned off as REO properties. They're prior to going to become an REO. REO is real estate owned. It's a bank owned property or it's an investor owned. So what happens is that if a homeowner stops paying on a loan, the lender will issue a notice of default. The trustee, that is, remember we call these when you have a loan on a property, it's a trustee's deed. The trustee will go ahead and issue a notice of default to that particular borrower of that money. And they'll go ahead and make an announcement. They'll go ahead and post it in county records. And you'll see a notice of default there. And it's typically 90 days prior to the auction date. Now that in itself we'll get to a little bit later. So they've issued this notice of default. Where do you get that information? You can get it from the trustee sites. So there's lots of trustees out there that issue these notices. And you can also get it from companies that put that data together. So there's some companies like Foreclosure Radar that scrub all those trustee sites and put it into one spot so you can see all these notice of trustees. Now I'm interested in potentially buying a foreclosure. I have all these lists of notices of defaults with potential auction dates. Now what is going to happen next is the lender, the person that owns that note, is going to put an opening bid on that particular property. They issue the opening bid, and if for example, if I'm a lender and I want that property back on my books, I'm going to generally put that opening bid high enough that an investor doesn't bid on it and it goes back to me. If no one bids at the auction because the opening bid is too high, the opening bid is higher than the market value, so no one bids on it, it becomes a bank-owned property. It goes back to the bank. So, but let's assume that you're sitting there and you have these properties that have potential auction dates coming up. Now you're going to want to see when the opening bids get issued. Again, you can do that through a service that scrubs those sites and posts those opening bids. That's number one. Or you can go to the trustee sites yourself and see when and if those opening bids pop up. Now, for me, I mainly focused and I tried to focus on vacant properties. I personally don't like the eviction process. There was enough vacant properties out there that you didn't have to really do that. But some people don't mind going through that. But we'll get to that later in the segment. So let's say you're sitting there and you're looking at this property, and let's say out of all the properties that are scheduled to auction, there's 10 of them that have opening bids set by the lender. What you're typically going to do is go through and research those and look very quickly, are the opening bids low enough that I could potentially bid at them at auction? And that's the first step. is, okay, I have 5 out of those 10 that I now can go bid at. Now I start doing my research on that. Research entails typically having one of your team members drive by the properties to try to check at least the condition of the property. Remember, these are foreclosed homes. You haven't looked at them. They're usually not listed in the MLS. Sometimes they are. That's the next step. Check the MLS, see if there's any old listings. If there's listings that have been recent, reach out to the listing agents, see if they had any offers on the property, how the condition of the property is, what the condition of the property is, and so forth. Do your analysis of what it's going to cost to repair the property in comparison to what you're going to be able to sell it for. Now you have all that data done. The next step is to go ahead and do your title search. Remember, it's very important that you buy a first mortgage and not a second or a third. If you buy a second or a third, you're still responsible for that first mortgage. If you buy the first mortgage, the other liens get wiped out, with the exception of certain liens like government taxes, HOA liens. Some liens run with the property, like water in some states and so forth. So some of those liens. So how do I check that and make sure when I have that notice of default, there's going to be a document number on that notice of default, and that document number, it should match up with the document number in the preliminary title report or the tip. So how do I get the preliminary title report? I have to have a relationship with a title company that's going to give me those titles, give me those tips. I might even need to call a title person and have that relationship built up so that I can call them up and say, hey, I have this property, I'm going to auction. This is the document number, is that the first mortgage? They look at it and say, yeah, that's the first mortgage. Are there any other liens on the property? No. Okay, we're good to go. Because remember, when I'm going to auction, I'm taking cashier's checks because I have to buy it in 100% cash. I'm taking cashier's checks made out to me, and I'm going to sign those over to the trustee, and I'm buying that property without escrow and without any title insurance. So I have to be careful. So now that I've established that it's a first mortgage, I've went ahead and let's say it's a condo, so I've checked the HOA to make sure there's no special assessments. I've went ahead and done my necessary due diligence the best that I can. I feel good about the property. I go to auction, and I get to auction, and the auction is delayed. And the auction is delayed for a variety of different reasons. Remember, homeowners now, if you look at this particular report, back in 2007, it took right around 150 days to foreclose on a property. That spiked to over 920 days. Variety of reasons for that. Because of the predatory lending and all these things, it's given homeowners more chances to stay in their home. Wonderful. I think that's a great thing. That should be done that way. Now, let's say you go ahead and you actually get an opening bid that you can bid on. It looks good, doesn't get postponed. You're now at auction. The trustee is going to come out. They're going to announce the opening bid, announce the property, and have that opening bid, and they'll start bidding and taking bids from all the people out there, all the investors out there that want to buy the property. Assuming you're the successful bid, you're the highest bidder, you'll go ahead and again hand over your cashier's check, sign a little document, you now own that property. If you go to the property and you find that it is occupied, you're going to go ahead and leave a note. I'm the new owner of the property. Please go ahead and contact me. When you contact that person, I always suggest, finding out their situation. Maybe you offer them cash for keys. Hey, I'll give you X number of dollars if you move out. I want the property vacant so I can do the repairs and sell it. Or maybe you want to re-rent it. So you'll go ahead and do that. If they don't obviously move out and they don't have a lease, you'll go ahead and have to evict them. If they do have a lease that is longer than a year, that is actually valid, and they've recorded that, you'll have to stick around until the lease ends if they wanted to. So let's say you go ahead and get the property. Now you go ahead and are going to do the repairs, and you have the property and then you sell it. Congratulations, that's how auction works. So wanted to let everybody know that. I know it's a quick summary. Again, I've done close to 100 of these. Of course, a very successful with that. I mean, again, the investors that were with me at that time before I closed the LLC, mainly to focus on shop prop, knows the return that we received. So there's still great opportunities, and even homes that aren't being foreclosed on. And that's one of the reasons why we're announcing Slice Prop, so that people can go ahead and be involved in that fractional investing in real estate. I hope this helps. Again, like, follow. Have a great day.